proof to the scholars, the true martial artists. Let's solidify this. Martial arts is African. Revelation 22:19, the tree of life and the holy city are my proofs. You can't add or take away from that which is sacred. That is a recurring theme in religion. And that's what you charlatans have done. And we are still waiting for your apology. After all this time, Mr. White Man and the allies and his allies. So, I have 14 witnesses to the sabotage of the top martial artist in American history. And it's based on this, and let's make it clear, it's based on these people's testimony and my own experiences. And these people said that, they're not just saying that to make me happy or, that nobody put them up to saying it. So they can't then turn around. I didn't pay them to say it or put them up to lie, So they can't then turn around and say, well, he actually did say that. Bullshit. They're also different races, and they're very well aware of my political views. How could they not be? Martial artists, okay? Let your ancestors burn. Let you lose your bit of the tree of life and your place in the holy city for seeking to exalt your throne above mine when I am the truth. Render unto Caesar that which is his. That is wealth, material wealth. Let these Babylonian scum have the wealth and those who worship it, and render unto God that which is his, which is virtue. So the pursuit of virtue is greater than the pursuit of wealth. Thus the truth is greater than the lie. Thus I am greater than them hiding behind social norms, which are illusions, smoking mirrors, deceitful behavior, based ideas, and lies. Now, when we look at this, my friends, to be offended by the truth when one seeks to claim his rightful place is to live in a state of dishonor. You people are amateurs. Morality is from the divine. That's the only way to solidify it. Other than that, it's relative and subjective. He with the most money defines the morality. And if you think that is a good thing, when we all know we live in a crony capitalist society where nepotism and the kleptocracy run rampant, and you're going to sit there like this is positive evolutionary behavior. We are better off going extinct in hell than we are adapting so that we can evolve as beings of hell. We are men of God. Our culture is sacred. It is dynamic. Our true culture. Our appearance, it is static. Our appearance is dynamic. Whether we have straight hair as the Melanesians do, whether some of us have afros and some of us have straight hairs like the Egyptians did, whether we have darker skin typically as the Nubians did, whether we're more of a mix of people, as you found in Neckin, between these kind of different shades of African, as you see the Nubians are depicted as. Some of them are red bone, some of them are blacker, right? So you have this mix there, the most diverse continent. All it takes for one to be in black African is to be black and claim your ground in Africa. Okay? Now, that means that when my ancestors bred with theirs, whether they were first somewhere else, they are black Africans. Ask a black African Jew if he is a Semite or a black African first. Let me see. Ask me. Ask a mulatto. Do you go out of your way to put other, or do you put black? So by their own Western scale, the Egyptians were black, no matter how you slice it. But certainly when you do the research, the linguistic evidence, the cultural, the artistic evidence, the anthropological evidence, you use a little common sense and insight, and you ask actual martial artists what they believe the symbolism means, the top martial artists who are chosen by God, you get the truth, okay? The Egyptian pharaoh was the top martial artist. No one's going to listen to anyone else. The armies aren't going to be trained by a fucking amateur. It has to be someone who has transferable skills, including martial arts tactics, war tactics. They say, look, I know what works. I can kill anyone individually, and I know how to make it so my army can do the same. Now, anyone who ain't with that, or who doesn't see that, don't talk to me. Don't. It's between a warrior and a martial artist, the nuance is that a martial artist has an emphasis on a moral code. For the same reason, a Christian at his best will always be better and superior than an atheist at his best, because of pushing solidified morality, if you look at it scientifically and from a sociological perspective. Okay? As an individual, and if society was like him, it would be a superior society to an atheist society. Okay? It's the same reason a martial artist is a superior being to a warrior who fights for the state, for a gang, or anything else without an emphasis on a moral code which distinguishes him as a martial artist. Think about the white political and social network that exists not only within small towns, but in cities with clubs, political groups, special interest groups, hate groups, activist groups, on and on and on and on and on, law enforcement and so on, these kind of, and then there's liberal colleges and conservative colleges, right? Think about that powerful network that is gang stalking me with 14 witnesses, and you see the disingenuous nature of the martial arts associations that show that they're probably an arm of the state being used to, stifle dissent among other institutions and entities. And it's very obvious that this is the answer to why, because they would be interviewing me and covering this. Why wouldn't they, right? Because it's very traditional what I'm saying, as it demands coverage. So I'm going to start exposing them. So to think that, there's a better martial artist in the mecca of martial arts, okay? It's not just that there's gang stalkers all over the country. It's that there's thousands of them here gang stalking me in any given month. The idea that it doesn't, I've identified dozens of martial artists and about a dozen schools, or more than a dozen schools that are participating. So the idea that, with all these associations and all their network and their extended network especially, that if someone was better, that they wouldn't have found them. When they're trying, my bank account is frozen right now because they're trying to financially sabotage me. At one point I offered 20 grand, which was a huge chunk of my money. Okay? The idea that they cannot beat me is very straightforward. The idea that they could, and that if someone is out there that exists, and that quote unquote no one knows who you are, becomes so preposterous, especially when you consider Masons own most of the small businesses, including martial arts businesses. And law enforcement is heavily involved in martial arts. I mean, when you consider the obvious here, it takes somebody who's so far out of touch not to give me my credit. And therefore, it is so dishonorable. It's not just kind of dishonorable, like, there's confusion. No, there's no confusion here. It is intensely dishonorable not to acknowledge me as the top and to give me my obeisance. Was it you that beat these people for over 3 years, 1 month, and 1 week? Offered thousands of dollars, fumed and drugged, beating everyone that came, while only tall black people had the heart to show up by themselves. I mean, was it you who did that? Was it you who put them completely to shame? I mean, come on. Give me my credit.